It's a beautiful part of the world in which we find ourselves. We're not on holiday, although sometimes the views around Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, makes us feel rather like that. We're here to work, if you can call what we do work, but we're here to watch some motor racing. Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin has been has had motor racing as part of its culture ever since the late 40s and early 50s. Racing on the roads was deemed too dangerous, and a couple of nasty accidents meant that something had to be done. What was done was the creation of one of the greatest road racing circuits in North America and therefore the world. Just over 4 miles around, 14 corners, and they follow the geography of the local countryside. In point of fact, echoing the sort of road racing that was on the public roads in those early days. Road America, known as America's National Park of Speed, not just because of the high speeds, but because of the beautiful surroundings in which we find ourselves. Much more akin to a national park than your average racing circuit. What it brings us is brilliant motor racing, a fabulous weekend, and the atmosphere is absolutely top-notch, packed as it is with fans, families, and even the family pets get to come along as well and enjoy the scenery. What we've got for you coming up is 15-minute qualifying, quick-fire qualifying sessions for each of the categories of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. Good afternoon. Good evening, almost, for those of you back in Europe. 8:15 in Central Europe, 7:15 in the UK. It is just coming up to 15 minutes past 2 here, Central Time. Glad you could join us on this Super Saturday. Still plenty of action to come, and we join together in sound and vision. Whether you're here in the US or further afield, there's always free access to the pictures for the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship and the qualifying session. And these are going to be interesting 15-minute blocks. In the booth with me is Jeremy Shaw. We're trackside this weekend, enjoying the atmosphere and the trackside catering. It's part of the tradition here. In the pit lane, Shay Adam has the qualifying drivers for the first 15 minutes, which is the purview of the GTDs and the GTD Pros. Hello, Shay.
Hello, John. The first thing that we have to follow up on are the missing cars as of yesterday, i.e. the cars that were severely damaged through both of the first practice sessions. Missing no more. The 78 Lamborghini from Forte Racing, powered by USRT, has been fixed. Misha Goikberg is going to be doing the qualifying duties for that car. The other GT car was the 32. That's the Team Cawthorpe Racing Mercedes. Mike Skeen put it on pole at Lime Rock. Well, they have fixed that car. Mike Skeen is going to be doing the shakedown and qualifying. So very happy to report that both of those cars have made it back out to the pit lane, and indeed have both of the TDS Racing LMP2 cars. We'll be seeing them a bit later in their session, but great news and great work by all the mechanics in the paddock bonding together to try and get the cars back out for qualifying. Now, we've got the 97 Turner Motorsport BMW. That will be qualified this time by Chandler Hull. It was Bill Oberlin at the last time out. Patrick Gallagher, having come fresh off the track in the Michelin Pilot Challenge session, has crawled back behind the wheel of his number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW. Robbie Foley put that car on pole last year. 93 is the Harrison Contracting, that's the Racer's Edge Acura NSX, and it is Ashton behind the wheel doing qualifying there. For Kelly Moss with Riley, we've got two Porsches. The 91 has Alan Metney. The 92 has David Bruley. Both drivers looking very ready to go in their Porsches. Another Porsche is Rexy, the number 80 AO Racing Porsche. That is PJ Hyatt, a guy who got a bit of track experience here last weekend in a Porsche. For the 77, the final Porsche on the grid, that is Alan Brynjolfsson in GTD, I should say. For Volt Racing, that's Wright Motorsport. It's Brendan Reeb in the 70 Inception McLaren. We've got Sheena Monk in the other Acura, that's for Gradient Racing. Russell Ward, winner last year, is doing the qualifying for Windward Racing in their Mercedes. Roman DeAngelis, the Sprint Championship leader, is aboard the number 27 Heart of Racing Aston Aston Martin. Frankie Montecalvo going out on track for Vassar Sullivan Lexus was the car you heard in the background there. And Madison Snow doing qualifying for the championship leading Paul Miller Racing BMW in the pro category. And bear with me for a second because I did predictions based off of who has qualified each race this year. All 5 were correct. Jordan Taylor has done 3 qualifyings this year compared to Antonio Garcia's 4. He's aboard the number 3. We've got Klaus Bachler aboard the Pfaff Motorsport Porsche. His turn, and indeed they gave it to him. Jack Hawksworth has done every single qualifying for the 14 Vassar Sullivan Lexus this year except Daytona. Guess what? He's aboard here at Road America once again, trying to get his 2nd consecutive pole position in 2 years at this track. Alex Riberas' turn to go out for Heart of Racing. It was Ross Gunn who got pole at Lime Rock. So Alex is trying to do the diligence for his team. And last but definitely not least, the hometown heroes. That would be WeatherTech Racing. Danny Junkadea, it's his turn, and they gave it to him.
Thank you, Shay. Out on the track then, Jeremy?
Yeah, and Shay talked about the Forte Racing powered by US Electronics Lamborghini car number 78. Well, it's actually not repaired. It's a completely new car that they've built up overnight. Fortunately, there was a spare Lamborghini on the premises. They were able to get it, and that team has worked super hard all overnight. And while it's a weird schedule for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship this weekend with only qualifying today, that's the only time they're on track today. That's great news for that team because they're up till about bit after 4 o'clock this morning working on getting that car together, back again at 6:30, and hats off to that entire organisation there. The program manager at Forte Racing is Dion Bridgelal, and the sort of team manager is Joe Gouza. So great job led by them and the entire crew there to get that car back together again. Spoke to Misha briefly during the sort of lunch break at mid-morning, and he put his hand up and said, look, just my fault. He'd been off the road at turn 13 only a lap or so before. And, I should have brought the car into the pits, but I didn't, and I paid the price quite literally because he had to buy a new car. He's enthusiastic. There's lots of experience as Misha, so I don't think he'll be too daunted by that. But no chance prior to this session to see how the car is at all. It's effectively a brand new car built up but overnight by that team, which is a remarkable effort.
They had to put some of the bits from the old car as much as they could salvage. Obviously, force majeure says that if there's a broken bit, you don't need to put it on, but things like gearbox, engine, 1 or 2 other bits and pieces has to go in there. So it's not as if they've just rolled a brand new car out the back of a truck here.
No, that's right. No, I mean, they didn't own that car. They've had to buy it from Lamborghini, and then it wasn't by any means even vaguely close to being a fully prepared race car. So it was one that Lamborghini had there. It was it had been on hand for much of the season, and there was a prospect of another team but purchasing at one stage. That didn't happen. So thankfully there was a spare car there, and most of a spare car, and they were able to build a full race car out of it overnight. But it'll be a tall order now for Misha in this brief qualifying session to get to grips with what to him now, of course, is a brand new car.
Now, I don't expect to see scintillating times immediately the cars cross the line at the end of their first lap.
And that's another good point you raised there, John, because with the new track surface here, I mean, I've been speaking to several drivers, such as Jack Hawksworth last night, and he said yesterday it was scary. I mean, there's a guy who's immensely talented, super fast, particularly in qualifying. He's going for his 10th pole position in this championship, which since the get-together in 2014 would put him 5th outright on the list. He shares 9 poles with 2 or 3 other drivers at the moment, including Antonio Garcia, who is actually not driving the Corvette this weekend, is he, for qualifying? And he said that the kink, there's no sort of feel through the kink, Jack was telling me. That there's grip there, but the car just slides around, and particularly once you get to the apex, the second part of the corner is really hairy.
Brian Sellers saying much the same to me. Up to the apex was kind of okay, as the number 9 Pfaff, slightly less plaid-y Porsche, more more black, the driveway.com sponsor machine now. Big slide at the exit of turn 1. I don't think he'd get a penalty for that because he didn't get any kind of advantage. I'm not sure how much in control Klaus Bachler was. Yeah, Brian saying it was kind of okay to the apex, but beyond the apex, it felt odd, almost as if he was going across the crown of the road, and it was pushing him out to the outside, to the point where he was saying he was having to be very judicious and couldn't be flat all the way through the corner.
Right.
And of course, what you don't want to do is suddenly lift off the power either, because that unsettles the car.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Hawksworth was telling me that in qualifying, the Lexus in the past has been absolutely flat out through the kink, no problem at all. He said it wasn't even close to flat yesterday. It was a real handful. So I think quite a few of these things, and conditions, of course, quite different today. It's a lot cooler than it was yesterday. The sun was, I think, pretty much shining. It was certainly a pretty warm day yesterday, and that's when, the only time they've been on the track. So cooler track temperatures and particularly ambient temperatures this afternoon. It's going to make it feel even more different.
However, when people have strung a lap together, generally speaking, there have been quick laps, getting a little bit of shadow cast on the circuit at the moment. And as soon as the sun comes out, the track temperature goes up. At the moment, it is 88 Fahrenheit on track. That's 31 Celsius. That's as warm as it has been all day. The air temperature has been hovering around 22, 23, 24 Celsius. That's in the low 70s Fahrenheit. At the moment, it is 23. So the engines like the air, not too warm. The tyres are beginning to like, and we are using the MHTs this weekend, the medium hot tyres for the GTPs. Everybody else on the single version of the Michelins. So 2:03.386 is the opening gambit. A very wide moment for the number 14, the Pro Lexus of Jack Hawksworth, but it's Alex Riberas who goes to the top for Aston Martin. What a couple of race weekends they've had, first in both categories at Lime Rock Park. Last time out, halfway through the session, Jeremy, and that is a time that looks pretty decent for me. And Madison Snow for Paul Miller Racing's done a 2:03.6 to be at the top of GTD.
Look, the fastest time yesterday was by Jordan Taylor in that Corvette at 2:03.7. The qualifying lap record around here is a 2:05.2 actually. It was by Ben Keating way back in 2019. Pole time last year in GTD Pro was a 2:05.3. 2:03.3 then for Alex Riberas. Jordan Taylor was briefly to the top there, ahead of Jack Hawksworth at that 2:03.543, and then he was eclipsed by Alex Riberas, looking for that Harter Racing Team's second consecutive pole. It's a brilliant effort at Lime Rock by Ross Gunn. They were able to translate that into a victory after what has been a really disappointing first part of the season for that pro side of that team. The AM side, they scored their second win of the season at Lime Rock, so it was a brilliant weekend for them. But that's a great lap from Alex Riberas. He's going quicker now in that number 23 Aston Martin. Purple again in Sector 2, personal best in Sector 1.
Purple signifying a overall best sector or lap time if you're following along. If you're here at the track or indeed further afield. There's another improvement.
Taylor to the top, 2:03.3 for Jordan Taylor.
Alcamel timing. Once again, our timing and scoring partners. Now, how about Alex Riberas to the top with a 2:02.918?
Yeah, he's right behind Jack Hawksworth, isn't he? Hawksworth went briefly to the top for maybe a second or so at a 2:03.354 to Taylor's 3.379, and as you say, Riberas into the twos now, 2:02.918. Daniel Juncadella also in the twos, 2:02.975. These are stunning lap times for GTD.
Madison Snow 2:03.2. So only 0.3 of a second away from the overall front row here in GT. We'll line these cars up per the lap times that they achieve here. So if there were 4 GTD cars at the top and then the first of the GTD Pros, that's how they would line up. We could get a split front row. It's happened before. And the red, white and black Quartz Energy's machine for BMW and for Paul Miller Racing. Down towards turn 5. And Madison is out of it, pulls out of the way. The team are talking to him. Really good etiquette on the track there as he dropped onto still a quite dusty side of the track. Brendan Arieb going through for Inception Racing.
Who's done a really nice job. Third fastest in that McLaren for Brendan Arieb. That is impressive. That's the guy who had the crash at Lime Rock Park. The car was badly damaged. That car had to go back to Europe. They brought the car that they had been using in Europe previously over here for this weekend. So there's been a lot of transportation challenges for that team, but that's a great effort by Brendan Arieb to be 8th fastest overall and 3rd in non-pro. Very impressive.
Very
ahead
wide
of Roman DeAngelis. Wow.
Very wide from Frankie Montecalvo at Canada corner for Vassar Sullivan in the 2nd place GTD. Might lose that lap. Coming up the hill then, Alex Riberas with right behind him.
It's not quicker this
is Frankie Montecalvo. He's dropped back a little bit in the pits for Jack Hawksworth. Now they can't touch the car. They can't do anything to it. So he might just be cooling the Michelin tyres, or with 3.5 minutes to go, he's probably done, to be honest. This is a long lap, so by the time you've done a couple of prep laps on the tyres and then done a fast lap, possibly a slow down lap and another fast lap, that's about it in terms of your 15 minutes. Who's still going quickly? Klaus Backley improved last time around, but doesn't improve his position. Still only 5th of the 5 GTD Pro cars. Madison Snow calls it a day, as well as Daniel Hunketeya. So Riberas still out there. 2:09.9 last time around. Riberas trying to cool the Michelin tyres. I don't think he needs to do one more. 0.057 is not a big gap, but the next 3 cars are all in the pits.
Yeah, and already well over 2 seconds faster than the existing track record for GTD.
Riberas is out of it, Jeremy. He's just touring back down the Hurry Downs towards turn number 8. Can't see that anyone is going to improve enough to challenge those top times.
No. Mike Skeen up to 4th fastest then in that repaired team Courthoff Mercedes, kind of a 32. 4th fastest in GTD non-pro. We've got 2 pro cars at the front. That's Alex Riberas and Daniel Juncadela. Then that brilliant effort by Madison Snow, who's into the pit lane for Paul Miller Racing, has a provisional pole for GTD non-pro. Then 3 more pro cars. It was 14 and 9, but now Jordan Taylor up into 3rd position overall, 2/10 off the fastest time, 2:03.143 for the Corvette number 3.
Frank Montecalvo comes into the pits. The engine note you could hear behind Jeremy as he was talking there was that of the Lexus number 12. Huge lift after the apex of the kink. Very interesting. It's given what we've been talking about as he came through the kink last time around. Going down towards turn 1, he was catching the Heart of Racing Aston Martin as he turned in up onto the curbs and then way off the circuit to the left-hand side. Not sure he would have got that lap anyway, to be honest. He may have been told that that lap was going to be disallowed anyway, and pulls into the pit lane. I would suggest that at the sharper end of the field, that's about all she wrote. Brendan Arieb improves his time again, though not his position. A 2:04.213 ahead of Mike Skeen, who had that big incident in the Team Courthoff 32 car at the kink when he understeered off into the wall. 2:04.3 for him. That's good enough for 4th in GTD, 9th overall. Misha Goldberg in that replaced car, the 78 car.
And the previous best qualifying position this year for Brendan Arieb in that car is 8th position. He was 8th on the grid in GTD non-pro, both at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park and Watkins Glen, actually, and at Sebring as well. But currently 3rd in GTD. That's and best by a long way of the bronze category drivers that are going for the. That's the. Which one's that? Is that the?
Yes.
the Bronze Cup, and he's well ahead of next down is all the way down is Sheena Monk, who's done a really good job also in the number 66 car for Gradient Racing. She's done a 2:05.4. So she improved last time around, and she's now got about a bit more than a tenth of a second over Ashton Harrison in a similar car, number 93, the other Acura.
Yeah, battle of the two Acuras and the two bronze drivers. As the racer's edge car takes the checkered face. Actually, bronze or she's silver? Yeah.
She must be silver. Yeah, she's silver.
Sheena Monk, very much a bronze.
Yeah.
And doing very well, but gaining.
Brendan Reeb improved up to a second position then in GTD.
Well, that was 3 laps in a row that he improved his time, Jeremy. So that was very, very impressive. A tidy lap put together. Nothing flashy there by Brendan, but he'd been shaving time off.
Klaus Bachler.
I was just about to say, he's in amongst the pro cars there.
Yeah.
6th overall, ahead of Klaus Bachler, who, Klaus hasn't been here before, though, has he? So, but he's a fast learner, and that's a fast car. Everything is new to Klaus this year, other than Daytona. Up to the line for the final time for Porsche number 92. And will there be an improvement?
Brendan Reeb hasn't been here either, because they only did the Michelin Endurance Cup last year,
of course.
They?
Yeah.
That's
David
a
Brulé.
Fantastic effort by Brendan Reeb. Seriously impressive.
David Brulé just improving right at the end there to a 2:08.001. He's the last car across the line. I think that was improvements every single lap for David.
Yeah.
And he had an off. He had a very nasty looking off when he was pushed off the track in one of the free practice sessions by the GTP 25 BMW, for which that car did get a drive-through penalty. Slid sideways into the wall at the bottom of turn 3. It clearly hasn't phased him, put it that way. Well done. Looks like the Porsches are struggling for a bit of pace. 4 at the bottom of the GTD runners, and the best of the Porsches, that's all of the Porsche GTD runners, and the 992 GT3 are 5th in GTD Pro, 7th overall. There's some cracking times there, though, Jeremy. Some absolutely cracking times.
Yeah, well, I mean, the old GTD lap record 2:05.2 going all the way back to 2019 was different everything back then, or 2:05.3 from last year. I mean, we've got the top 14 cars are all actually, half a second quicker than that. So it just shows you how much speed these cars are having on this new track surface. But I think particularly impressive there was Brendan Reeb in that McLaren 720S, the car that was just arrived just a few days ago.
Let's head down to Shea, who is at pit out for the first of our 2 pole sitters in this category. Shea?
Giving a big hug to Brian Sellers and just taking his gloves and his helmet off. This is actually Madison's 10th pole position, but his best ever qualifying effort at Road America. So it's been a little while since his last pole. Petit Le Mans last year, actually. So big span of time. And it's his first pole position since it's been open qualifying, where it's been silver, bronze, gold, or platinum, whoever you want in the car. But Madison, 10th pole position with this track repave. There is one preferred line. Is this the most important pole you've gotten?
It's definitely going to help. I mean, we'll see where I am on the start. You definitely want to be on the inside for the start going in here, but being up front is always a good thing.
Did you know you had that much time in the car after practice?
I mean, didn't know what lap time we were going to get. Definitely surprised me a little bit, but we did a lot of hard work overnight. We know how strong everybody is in this IMSA championship right now, so we gave it everything that we had.
Very important to get those 35 bonus points. You're on the outside of the second row. You did get pipped by Jordan Taylor for that 3rd spot, but it's still a good spot for tomorrow. And looking at the entire championship, the 35 points, is that what you guys were talking about?
I mean, everybody's just strong lap time wise and everything, and so you have to give it everything that you got. I mean, both lap time wise, but also for the points, because it's a tight championship right now.
Well, and the good news is you beat the lap record by about 2 seconds, so you now hold that over Ben Keating. Congrats.
Thank you.
And in fairness, anytime you can take a lap record from Ben Keating, you're doing something right, notwithstanding the evolution of cars and tyres and track. But that one stood for a wee while. So new lap record for Heart of Racing and Alex Riberas at now a 2:02.918. We'll talk to him in a moment. 2:03.291 is the new GTD lap record for Madison Snow. And so it'll be 3 GTD pros. So the Aston Martin of Heart of Racing, the WeatherTech Mercedes, then the Chevy Corvette on the inside of row 2, then the first of the GTDs. Here's Alex Riberas, pole position for tomorrow's race, tomorrow morning, and he's talking to Shea Adam.
Alex, it's your second pole here at Road America. I know you must love this place, but what is it about Heart of Racing that seems to be firing on all cylinders right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this place is a dream for any race car driver, to be honest. It's so enjoyable. The track is full of up and downs, fast corners, slow corners, heavy braking zones. It seems like you cannot have everything in one place. And then on top of it, you add the new tarmac, which is extremely tricky, I think, for the drivers, but also very enjoyable because the track is just so fast, right? So, I am just so proud of the whole team. Everybody has been doing a tremendous job. Even where, the results didn't reflect the progress we were making, it was hard to see because I knew behind the scenes we were making that effort and that progression, yet the results didn't quite work for us. And I'm happy to finally have the results pay off and get a good result for the team, which everyone deserves. And I mean, it's just the beginning. Tomorrow it's going to be a long race, so.
Well, and you got the most important part because it's basically a one-track line out there from what we're hearing. It's very difficult to pass people. So now not having to pass people and then telling other people, hey, good luck, go try and pass me, it's even better. Yeah,
I think you should maybe go talk to them before the start, say, hey, guys, you accept, you already lost the win, you cannot pass here. So let's see if they hear you. But no, for sure. I mean, I feel like tomorrow is going to be a race that it's really hard to predict. I mean, offline, it's a very low grip surface. So this is the very first multi-class racing that's going to be around here, and that's going to provide a lot of question marks. So for sure, we're ready for any scenario to capitalize on any opportunity we see. And at the end of the day, I feel like it's going to be quite a survival race where, strategy, pace, decision making, and making no mistakes is going to be the keys to coming back home with the W.
We just did a lap record. You did, I should say. Not we. 2:03 is what the benchmark that you dropped below. It's not going to be long before we're down below 2 minutes in a GT car around here.
Well, yeah. I think, for sure, this was a big team effort. The mechanics did a phenomenal job. Again, mentioning and going back to the outcome of Motorsport with a big crash after contact. It was a tremendous job by the mechanics to get this car ready, and it works so well. So definitely a team effort, definitely an impressive lap time because, I didn't expect to be under 2:03, that's for sure. But it is impressive how much the cars develop and the track develops, and it can be a little challenging for your brain sometimes. But yeah, it's definitely enjoyable.
It's a great point. All this chassis knows how to do is win. Good luck keeping that going tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
He wasn't pumped at all, but that was he, Alex. What a great interview, and what great passion and emotion, positive passion and emotion. Often we talk about the bad side of motor racing when things go wrong. It's great to hear people celebrating the good times. He's been around for a very long time. He's driven in very many series, and yet that pole means as much to him as anything else. You can hear it in his voice. Just want to try and follow up on something there. The FAF number 9 Porsche didn't make it back to the pits or to the checkered flag on its final lap. So we're going to check out to see what happened. It's stopped out on track somewhere and had to be recovered. Haven't got any more information at the moment, but Shea will have a look at that as soon as she can. She's on fat already. I can see her walking purposefully towards the FAF awning on the pit lane. So there we are, our first 2 pole sitters. Alex Riberas, or at least the Heart of Racing team, Aston Martin, and Paul Miller Racing with the M4 GT3. They will line up in 1st and 4th position in the GT categories when we go green tomorrow morning. Very early start. make sure that you check the radiolemans.com homepage. Scroll all the way down to the bottom and you'll see on RS2 schedule our broadcast times there for Michelin Countdown to Green and for the whole race live. If you're outside the US, that's live in sound and vision as well, with no blocks or breaks. Shay has found out what went wrong at FAF.
Okay, so we've got green flag on LMP2 and LMP3. I'll tell you those qualifiers in a minute. But FAF, very heads up, very smart, very kind organization. They were going around and round. They saw the fuel light. They went, we're not going to get all the way back around. Klaus, pull off at turn 5. We don't want to cause a red flag and lose our 2 fastest laps. And also, we'd rather just get the car back while there is still fuel in it and not run it completely dry. Would you like to know our LMP3 and LMP2 qualifiers?
And I'll tell you why that's very smart, Shay, before you go into the qualifiers.
Okey-doke.
Because he's 5th in GTD Pro. So, all right, he's 5th. How much worse could it be? It could be that he would start way down, mired in the GTD field, because that is a combined qualifying that we've just had. So that's smart and kind in equal measure, as you rightly said. All right, we're moving now to the LMP 2s and 3s.
And in LMP3 land, let's start there, because the last car in the category as far as numerical is concerned just rolled by me. That would be the number 85, Jerry Kraut, local man, doing the qualifying duties for JDC. It's Gar Robinson aboard the 74. Once again, the Riley machine, which leads the championship points. The number 33, we talked to him yesterday, Nico Pino, got pole at Daytona. He is going out right now, there he goes, for qualifying for Sean Creech Motorsports. We've got Ari Baylog in the number 30 for Junior 3 Racing, and the sister car, yes, they have 2 cars this weekend, Bishoy Garg, the guy who's leading the VP Fuels Championship right now. We've got Anthony Mantella and Ori Fidani in the 17 and 13 for AWA Motorsports, respectively. And finally, it should be Tonis Kasmits in the number 4 for Ave Motorsports. In LMP2, this is easy because if you're bronze, you are doing qualifying. Ben Keating is aboard the number 52 PR1 Matheson. We've got John Falb for the number 35 rebuilt car by TDS. The other rebuilt TDS car is the 11 of Stephen Thomas. It is Dwight Merriman for Era Motorsport in their number 18. Dennis Anderson in the number 20 for High Class Racing. Rodrigo Salas, welcome back to the championship, making his 2nd ever start. He's aboard for Tower Motorsports, and we do miss you, John Ferrano. We hope you get back to this series soon. And last but definitely not least, George Kurtz figured out how to get pole at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and right now he's trying to do it again for CrowdStrike.
Yeah, he very confident, likes this track. As of all the drivers that I've spoken to in the last few days, the word tricky has never been used so much on a race weekend by drivers. Tricky track is pretty much what I've heard from everybody. George was pretty confident. He rather sensibly did a 2nd track walk yesterday and had another look round to see how the track was rubbering in, and he was just looking at how the track is evolving and how there's little bits of grains just off the racing line, and he's noted all that down. This is a man, of course, who works in cybersecurity. He understands process. He understands the need to take in all the information, and he crunches data for a living. So behind the wheel of a racing car, when he's out of the car and he's looking at the data, he's very analytical indeed. Talked to Colin Brown about him at Le Mans when they were on their way actually to a class victory. Just takes all that in, and he wants to know the information. And of all the people yesterday that I talked to, he was one of the only, in fact he might have been the first actually, who said to me, I've had another little look at the track actually after what's been going on today. And he's not the most experienced driver here, but my goodness me.
He's done a lot of driving there in the last 2 or 3 years, hasn't he?
I mean, fairness, he's been working with Colin for nearly 10 years now, and so it's not, it just hasn't always been at this level of racing.
Yeah.
He's an, you know, you look at people like George Kurtz, like Ben Keating, solidly non-pro drivers, and I say that with much respect to both of them, who are putting in near pro performance every time they get in a car. And they can only do that by being super fit and super committed to what they do. And, you know, we'd all do it if we had the time and the wherewithal. We'd love to think that we could do that. They fly the flag for all of us enthusiasts, and others as well, in fairness. But really, in this championship, two leading lights there among the non-pro drivers. And to me, still one of the greatest things about sports car racing. And there's Ben just going a little wide at the bottom of turn 8, hits the grass, tiny bit late on the brakes, locked up the right front Michelin tyre. But that shows you how hard he's pushing. He'll regroup from there. I still love that aspect of sports car racing, Jeremy, that you can go out there and compete on the world stage with the very best.
Yeah, absolutely right. And there's a look again, that lock-up going into the braking area at turn 8, just slids wide onto the grass. He had a spin there yesterday.
Yes, he did.
In the afternoon session, I think it was. And
that was an on-throttle spin rather than a on-brake spin.
Yeah, but it was precipitated yesterday, I think, by the fact he locked up the brakes going in there, but it was very early in the session. I mean, he's already done a couple of laps here, so you wouldn't have expected that mistake to happen just there. Just a quick note, by the way, about that 10th pole for Madison Snow in that earlier GT session. That breaks the tie that he had on 9 poles with Nick Tandy, Antonio Garcia and Jack Hawksworth. So the only guys ahead of him now in the poles since 2014 are Ricky Taylor, who leads away on 14, and then James French, local guy here from Sheboygan, who's not racing this weekend, on 12, along with Jordan Taylor, also on 12, and Ben Keating, looking to make it 12 plus 1 here this afternoon.
Yes, indeed so. Right, lap records here. Jeremy, what are we expecting? What would we expect to see? I'll tell you already that Stephen Thomas, who had that very odd-looking incident for TDS Racing in the number 11 car, is already down to a 55.8 in LMP2. And Bijoy Garg in LMP3 for Junior 3 Racing is down below 2 minutes to a 59.8.
Yeah, the LMP2 record really isn't relevant because they've been slowed down considerably since the records were set by James French, in actual fact, the local driver back in 2019.
It's done exactly the same again at turn 8 on a slightly different line. He looked like he was trying to avoid a bump there and was slightly more from the middle of the road. Went less far off the road this time, so, you know, he's improving.
Yeah. LMP3, though, so it's certainly more relevant. Last year's pole position in the Sean Creech Motorsport entry, car number 33, was Malte Jakobsen, who turned a 159.4. 159.434 last year. The quickest time yesterday in practice was Garrett Grist at 158.0. But those, of course, the pro drivers. In LMP3 and LMP2, it has to be the non-pro who starts. And at the moment, Nico Pino, who is a youngster, has just turned a 58.6. That's a good lap by Nico Pino, the Chilean in car number 33.
We are going to have a cracking battle at the front of the field between Stephen Thomas and George Kurtz. George just went to the top with a 55.082, followed across the line by Stephen Thomas in the TDS number 11 with a 55.008. There is 0.074 of a second between those two drivers battling for the front row. The TDS racing car rebuilt overnight, the CrowdStrike racing machine, and a very, very striking livery on that with the Eagle's head on the side pods of that car, mostly red 04 machine, or number 4 machine. 6 minutes left. Exactly what we expect of LMP2. Very close qualifying, very close racing. Don't forget, next year we'll have Ligier in the pack for Sean Creech Motorsport. They've got their car delivered in black carbon. Very excited about that.
Yeah, and by the way, on that LP2 battle, there was a big twitch under braking at top of the hill at turn 6 on that lap for George Kurtz as he's trying to. You are absolutely right, and of course Ben Keating's kind of feeling the pressure here. Mistakes on consecutive laps for Ben Keating, and he's now down behind. Well, he's in 5th position at the moment, is Ben Keating, so he's got to get his act together.
He's in 5th position, 1.5 seconds away from Paul.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember the last time I said that.
No.
Except if he hadn't been out on the track,
That's
to be
right.
quite honest. The AWA, number 13. 2nd position in LMP3 for Ori Fidani. Just a little spin at the top of the hill under the Corvette bridge at turn 6, but pointing in the right direction now.
59.2 though Ori did in his last lap. That is underneath the old record that was set last year by Malte Jakobsen. So really good effort by Ori. He's really gaining confidence now, isn't he? But Nico Pino is absolutely flying out there. 157.93 for Nico Pino, and Sean Creech Motorsports looking for that team's 2nd consecutive pole here.
And Ori continues with the outline of the Maple Leaf of Canada, and no LMP3 in the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship next year. Teams making their decisions. Sean Creech going to LMP2, as we mentioned, with Ligier. AWA picking up 2 of the brand new Corvette GT3s for next year, so they will debut those in the GTD part of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. And you've got to think, although no drivers have been announced, that Ori Fidani would be part of that effort.
Yeah, really. Well, exactly right. Hey, look, what a great effort there by Rodrigo Salas in the Tower Motorsport car number 8. Drafted this car really late. I think they did the deal maybe the end of last week at most. As we're looking at a replay here of Sean Creech Motorsports, Nico Pino going to turn 1 and sliding way wide. And
now,
that'll be a track limits call.
Does he get back?
Ooh,
No, he doesn't. Now, I was talking about this yesterday. If you go too deep on that runoff on driver's left, there's actually a slight depression and then a rise. It's like a skateboard ramp, and that's exactly what the car hit there last time around. It's like the launch ramp. Yes, a little more circumspect this time around. It's like a launch ramp at the end of a through-deck carrier that they used to run the Harriers off, and you can't see it until you hit it. A couple of GTD drivers were telling me about it, and that's all 4 wheels off the ground for about 4 or 5 yards there. He was very lucky not to get air underneath the car, but the gaps in the top of the wings of these cars now and the underbody all designed so that if the front wheels do come off the ground, we don't see that leaf effect that we used to get in the cars. Again, feels like not so very long ago, but it is now. It is that centre wing as well, the fin on the back, also helping with the stability. That's a scary moment at that point. You're accelerating hard there, Jeremy.
Yeah, that was a lot of air he caught there, and the car bounced around after that, and that cost him a lot of momentum. Look, a couple of brilliant laps here. George Kurtz has just done a 154.0
to the top.
In the CrowdStrike by APR entry, and just over a 10th behind him is Rodrigo Salas. That's fantastic in car number 8, drafted in really late into that Tower Motorsport team. He has raced here once before in a TCR back in 2017, I think it was, 17 or 18, a long time ago. Has been driving these cars in Europe, so but really taking the full advantage of this opportunity he's been given by this team. Cool guy is from the Lake Tahoe area, although he's doing most of his racing these days in Europe in P2 cars, so lots of experience there, but he's used it all here. That's a really good effort.
Asian Le Mans Series LMP2 winner. Not so very long ago in a very truncated 4-race 2-weekends type series. Just a mention of George Kurtz. He's gone through again, and he's gone quicker again, Jeremy. How about 153.6 now? That's a half a second gap to the field. I didn't expect to see that. I was talking to Stuart Cox yesterday. Stuart and Sam Cox, the driving force of APR, Algarve Pro Racing, who run the CrowdStrike campaign. And he was saying he likens it the last few years with he and Sam to being on a speedboat across choppy waters where the throttle's stuck on full, and the only thing you can do is keep feeding petrol into the motors because it ain't slowing down. Yeah. He feels like he's hanging on, but loving it, because you can't do that type of job if you don't love it. And what success he's brought to CrowdStrike. He and Sam have brought to CrowdStrike in the last couple of seasons, including that class win at Le Mans. And very much hoping to carry on next year as the checkered flag comes out with an even larger LMP2 class. Remember Richard Dean, who's here this weekend actually. We'll try and get him in the booth in the race tomorrow. Richard Dean's United Autosport here with 2 cars for the full season next year into Europol, rumoured to be coming over, as well as some more of the European base teams who can't, of course, race LMP2 in WEC anymore, and have decided to come and take on the classic circuits of IMSA. And with 5 Michelin Endurance Cup races next year, even the teams I think that aren't doing the full season, and United have committed to that, but even the teams who aren't doing the full season, I think we'll see them at all 5 of those Michelin Endurance Cups next year. I've got a feeling we're going to see well into double digits of top quality LMP2 racing next year.
There's the George Kurtz just taking the shaker. I didn't improve on that lap, his overall lap time, but he was only a couple of tenths behind. Rodrigo Salas has not quite yet taken checkered flag. Dwight Merriman's doing a really nice job. He improved again on that last lap. He's 4th fastest. Oh, he's just been pipped finally by Ben Keating, who finally put a proper lap together. But that was a good effort by Dwight Merriman in that Aero Motorsport car number 18. That's the car that's won this race each of the last 2 years. And he was ahead of Ben Keating until that last second, where Ben just nipped ahead of him, but only 4th position then for Ben Keating. That's a surprise in that PR1 Matheson Motorsports number 52. Also improvement on that final lap for Bijoy Garg in the Junior 3 racing car number 29. That's a new entrant for this weekend, a second car for that team. And Bijoy, the VP Racing Sports Car Challenge Championship leader in the P3 car with Junior 3, has just moved up to 2nd fastest behind Nico Pino. So a good job by the young Californian.
So George Kurtz just coming down to the kink in the 04, the very, very handsome red and shades of grey, as I say, with that eagle's head just on the area of the car in front of the rear wheels. It fits in really well with the shape of the car. That's very clever piece of livery, and well done to another striking livery, Sean Creech Motorsport, the Stars and Stripes. Yeah, just going back to just thinking ahead, Jeremy, that's as far back as I've seen Ben Keating qualify for quite some time. Opening laps tomorrow are going to be very interesting for that wins car.
Yeah, it's the 2nd pole of the year for George Kurtz. He was on a pole also at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. And for Ben Keating, that really is a surprise. I mean, he's been on the pole at Daytona and at Sebring. He was on the front row at Laguna Seca, and started 2nd also to Watkins Glen. But times there, of course, were set by other means, position, weren't they? Championship position, I think it was.
Other means,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
But generally, he's speaking. If he's not on pole, he's on the front row of the grid, but only just sneaking onto the outside of the 2nd row on its final lap is Ben Keating. So they've got some work to do there to get that car ready for tomorrow. But again, hats off to Dwight Merriman in particular. I think that job, just 1.2 seconds off the fastest time. And he and Ryan Diel have put themselves in a really good position for tomorrow.
Let's go down to Shea, who has our LMP3 pole sitter.
Well, Nico, that was a very impressive lap around Road America. I'll ask you about getting air on the follow-up lap, but first off, how much speed did this LMP3 car have that you were not expecting?
Well, we made a pretty aggressive change now for this run. Of course, we were struggling a bit on qualifying, but of course it worked. It handled one lap, then I was struggling, and then when I had a couple of moments throughout. So, yeah, of course, trying to find a bit more pace just in case someone else went quicker. But yes, I think it's behaved pretty well. Now need to analyze, see what we can take from this for the race. But I think we're in a good position now.
How did that discussion go when you were talking about making big changes with no opportunity to try it out before qualifying?
Well, I've done it a few times before, at least in Europe, so I've been used to take this kind of decision. So, yeah, of course it worked out. We didn't knew more or less how aggressive it would be. We knew it was a big change, but in the end, it all played out in our way. So, yeah, happy with it. The fastest we've been the whole weekend, so it's good.
Do you have a private pilot's license? Because you got a lot of air and flew for a while there.
It's on the plans in the future to get a pilot's license, so, but no, I don't have it yet.
Wait until you see the replay. It was very impressive. Congrats on your second pole.
Yeah, thank you very much. They told me already. They put it like 6 times, so.
Yeah, that's Nico Pino, who somebody will have the picture of that car in mid-air with all 4 Michelin tyres. It's in fairness, you know, Jeremy, you start on the tyres you qualify on, so he saved a bit of tyre wear there with a few yards of tyre wear. Let's go back to Shea, who's got our LMP2 pole sitter for CrowdStrike Racing by APR. It is George Kurtz.
George, you've got a lot of experience racing at Road America and GT cars and winning here in GT cars, but have you ever done a lap like that in a prototype?
No, you know, it was our first time on the new track with the P2, and we missed testing here, sadly. So everything was new to us. It was obviously a challenge with the track and the track surface and just getting used to that one groove line. And the team did a fantastic job, gave me a great car, and we put it on pole.
Now, we weren't expecting to get anywhere near the track record since the cars are so dramatically different from when that happened, but you were still very close. Were you expecting this much speed in the car?
Well, I knew they gave us a good car. Made some changes overnight. You know, the first session was a little bit messy for just a session, and we didn't get a lot of lap time. So we did the best we can with practice 2 and 3, and the engineering team did a fantastic job at CrowdStrike and APR. So couldn't be happier.
It's been a fantastic couple of months for you, and especially driving in P2 cars. You said before this wasn't the full season plan, but now you're in it for the championship. This just pushes you a little bit further towards it. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels great. You know, we're committed to the championship, and I had to make a decision to be here today, which you probably know, versus other places. So we're committed, and we think we got a great shot. We just got to keep ourselves clean and do what we do well and just execute.
Definitely paid off today. And I'll let you know that now you're tied with Ben Keating on poles for the year. Okay. So if you get one more than him, you're going to walk away with the trophy at the banquet. So just a little bit of added incentive.
Well, that's good company to be in. So we'll see what we can do. We just want to win races, and after that, we'll see what happens.
Congrats, George.
All right, thanks so much.
Yeah, George was expecting to be racing elsewhere this weekend, but with a stint of a championship, he's pivoted. And look, he works in an industry that has to move quickly in cybersecurity. He's not afraid of making quick decisions based on the data, and he reckons he's got a chance at the championship, and he's absolutely right about that, Jeremy. So yeah. APR and he in for the rest of the season. Yeah,
that's great news. Certainly with a couple of races to go in the championship after this weekend. I mean, it's so tight in the points. George Kurtz and Ben Hanley lead on 973 points over Stephen Thomas and Mikkel Jensen on 970 to a 3-point differential, and just 3 points behind them, Ben Keating and Paul-Loup Chatin. And with the qualifying points now awarded, that will extend the lead by a little bit by another 5 points for George Kurtz, but actually another 7 points with Ben Keating only in the 4th position on the grid, and Stephen Thomas 5 points over Stephen Thomas, who is third on the grid. So
it sounds ridiculous, but that's getting towards a place difference.
Well, yeah,
and these qualifying sessions, you know, George taking it there, Ben not being in the top 3, that could decide the championship when it comes down to the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if those positions had been reversed in qualifying, all 3 championship positions would have been reversed as well. So that's how close it is, and you know they get 10 times as many points for that tomorrow. So it's that's when the big points are scored. But hey, every point counts. Just as I say, just 6 points coming in the top 3 coming into this race. So yeah, fun.
We move on now to the thoroughbreds, the GTPs, and this is the moment that Jeremy and I have been waiting for. These cars have been getting quicker and quicker and beginning to challenge in fact, in terms of the race lap records, going back all the way into the Audi TDIs and Audi R8 days, we're already at that kind of speed around here. Shea Adam can give us the qualifying drivers who'll be going out to try and set, well, whatever happens, it will be a new qualifying record because these cars have not been here before, but we're looking at it in an historical way as well as to just how quick these cars are against their predecessors.
Yeah, and if you hear a bit of a smile in my voice, John, it's because I predicted who each of the qualifying drivers would be, and for GTP, I got all 10 right, so very pleased about that. Back to front or front to back? Which would you prefer numerically?
Back to front.
Okay, let's start with the number 60. The most recent race winner is the green flag waves. Colin Brown is the qualifier for that car this weekend. I say this weekend because Tom Blomqvist has gotten 5 pole positions for Myers Tank Racing. Colin Brown looking to try and get his first for the team. He owns this place. Very successful driver. For the new car, that would be the WeatherTech Porsche. That's run by Proton Competition. If you have a Jimmy Bruni at your disposal, put a Jimmy Bruni in for qualifying because that means we're going to get a Harry Tinknell for the end of the race. Fully agree with that decision. Pippo Durrani has been the qualifier the last 3 times in a row for Whalen Engineering in that Cadillac. It's going to be 4 in a row for him. That would be another good one to put your money on if you're looking for a bet for pole, but stand by, we still have a few cars left to go. For BMWs, the number 25, it is Connor DeFilippi. It's his turn. They keep switching back and forth, and it's Philip Ang who is doing the qualifying duties for the sister car, the number 24. It's his turn as well. Philippe Albuquerque put the car on pole last year for Koenig Minolta and their Acura. Well, now it's a new car, it's a new format, but it is still Philippe trying to go for another pole position. In Porsche land, we've got Matty Campbell, a guy who's won twice and finished second at Road America. He is also up for his turn, and they go back and forth in the number 6 car as well. Mathieu Jaminet took qualifying duties last time out, so that means it's Tandy time for the number 6. Number 5 is the JDC Miller Motorsports Racing Porsche. The last 2 times, it has been Mike Rockenfeller. It's going to be the last 3 times now because Rocky is once again doing qualifying for them. And last but definitely not least, in the 01, who's the driver who always puts the Cadillac Racing entry at the top of the charts? That would be Sebastian Bourdais. He has done qualifying every time this year. He's doing it once again.
Only one car that has not come out of the pits, and that is Colin Brown in the Acura. As Shea mentioned there, he has been outstanding in qualifying here down through the years. When before LMP2 was slowed down and taking it to the factory cars for Court with John Bennett as his driving partner. Absolutely imperious. Now, quick reminder, you are allowed to change tyres in this session. Only the GTPs, and we've had 2 cars peel off into the pit lane. I think it was the BMWs that came in, and Colin Brown has fired up the Acura V6 and is taking to the track right behind the other cars. First time we've had double-digit GTPs or top categories in IMSA racing for quite some years, and Colin Brown eases the Sirius XM Auto Nation Acura gently. Man, that's almost like soft tyre Formula 1 outlap. He is really taking it easy. The BMWs have done an outlap on old rubber and now put brand new Michelins on both of the BMW Hybrids prototype. The stickers have been peeled off the tyres, but they were definitely brand new. That distinctive sheen that you get on the Michelin Racing Slicks. MHTs, that's medium high temperature compound and construction. As we wait for them to come round, and again, as we said yesterday, if you were with us yesterday on RS2, we had an outstanding mock qualifying session. It was nip and tuck right to the end. This may be last lap, last car across the line takes pole position. If we get that, and that was on 1 set of tyres. This is 2 sets of tyres today. The BMWs have taken the early stop to put the new tyres on. Not really sure why you would do an outlap on the old tyres just to assess.
Scrubbing a set for tomorrow.
They were already scrubbed tyres. That wasn't just one lap of scrubbage on those tyres that they took off. I don't think so. Anyway, you might be right, Jeremy. We'll get Shea to ask. Assess the condition of the track, I suppose. That's the other thing. Track temperature is 33 Celsius. That's 91 Fahrenheit. Still a relatively mild in engine intake terms. 23 Celsius or 73 Fahrenheit in the air.
Yeah. The breeze has picked up a little bit, I think. Plus, there's a bit of direct sunlight now, isn't there, which we haven't had for most of the day.
That will shoot the track temperature up. The wind's slightly more across the start-finish straight now, which means it'll be on the front of the car as they come to turn 14. Behind the car as they go to turn 8. I wonder if that was why Ben was making those issues. He had a slight tailwind going into turn 8. The downhill braking, that's where Pipo Derani is now, in the red-fronted Cadillac. He makes the corner pretty easily. An extra 5 minutes on this session. 15-minute sessions for everybody bar GTP, which is 20 minutes. That's to allow for that call to the pit lane should they require. You don't have to do it, and we've seen teams elect not to do it and do the full session on a single set of Michelin tyres, thereby saving perhaps a new set for the race. Pipo down towards Canada corner, turns in. Oh, that was neat. That was very neat indeed. Now curves his way through to the left-hander at turn 13, not quite to the edge of the road as he commits for 14. So this isn't a fast lap, that's another prep lap. He's just building up. Still no times from the GTPs that have even put them ahead of the LMP2s yet, except for that one. 1 minute 49.671. So people picking up the pace now, but that is not where we're going to be. Philippe Albuquerque, 49.4. Strikingly similar lap progression from two very different cars, the Konica Minolta Acura and the Cadillac. V6 in that Acura, honking big V8 in the Cadillac.
Yeah, the fastest time yesterday in that thrilling practice session at the end of the day was a 1:47.9 by Pipo Derani in that car number 31. The DPI lap record of 48.7 against that 47.9, and the fastest ever qualifying lap around here is a 46.9 by Lucas Law in the Audi R10 TDI back in 2008. And as John Musserk talked about yesterday, more representative probably because you don't have special qualifying tyres or super boost on the engine on all the trick stuff that they used to have back then, to go with the cubic number of dollars that they took to run those cars. The race lap record is a 48.7, which was eclipsed yesterday, and Albuquerque has already come within a half a second of that.
That was Marco Werner, wasn't it, you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, when you go back to the TDI cars, they were running tyres that was half as wide again, full confidential tyres, so you had potential qualifying and race starting tyres that you got out of as quickly as you could. The engines in race trim were running over 1,000 horsepower and probably another couple of hundred for the qualifying session. Nothing like that here. The car's possibly slightly trimmed down and running slightly fewer litres of fuel. And across the line then, Pipo Derani, a 1:48 flat is the best time so far. Nick Tandy brings the Porsche number 6 up to pace with Mike Rockenfeller and Matt Campbell backing up, so it's 6, 5 and 7 in 3rd, 4th and 5th for the three Porsches. Porsche Penske Motorsport, JDC Miller Motorsport and Porsche Penske Motorsport. Mike Rockenfeller did top the first free practice session in terms of the Porsches. And that bright yellow number 5 car being the best of the Porsches. Nick Tandy restoring Works pride in the second, but still a couple of seconds away at the moment from the sharp end of the field. Colin Brown, last car out of the pits on the first run. The BMWs, remember, came in at the end of their first lap, and they're still coming up to temperature and pressure with their Michelin tyres for Philippe Eng and Connor De Philippi, respectively, in 24 and 25. Crossed the line for Colin. That was a prep lap at a 2:02.3. So now he'll be starting to push that white, pink and black car. Turn 1, very tidy indeed, stayed within the track limits.
Purple sectors 1 and 2 on this lap for Pipo Derani in car number 31 coming through turn 13, now carrying an awful lot of speed through
He just
there.
looks so tidy though, Jeremy. He's not even using all of the entry into turn 14. He's not
Missed the apex
pushing
there.
to the edge of the track. He's not hitting some of the apeces of the... But he's finding the grip, Jeremy. You know, this is what drivers have been doing the last couple of days. How about 147.7? 147.730. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. He's very tight to track limits at turn 1 that time around. Dives down to turn 3. No hybrid recharge lap as you see in some Formula racing. Here comes Tandy to the line. So they'll continue to push and push. Still just under 10 minutes left. Tandy very tidy at the exit of turn 1. Diving down to turn 3 now. Nick Tandy, 3rd position at the moment. He's just turned a 148.627.
Yeah, and those are the only 3 cars under 150 at the moment. I expect that to change. 47.7 then for Derani, 48.2 for Albuquerque, 48.6 for Nick Tandy. Next up is Maddie Campbell's a 50.0.
Every single one of the drivers on track right now, gentlemen, a Rolex 24 winner.
Oh, well, there's no present like the time, if anybody from Rolex is listening. But I'm very happy with my Homologato Acuria Cost that I'm wearing this weekend, giving it its first airing. And telling the time perfectly, thank you very much.
I should hope so.
Automatic as well. I do like a nice piece of automatic engineering. 8 minutes 49 seconds to go, and everybody did their best lap last time around except for Mike Rockenfeller. The JDC Miller car still on a
by 5 thousandths of a second.
Oh yes, yeah, I've just seen that. Yeah, he did a 9.67 and he was best was a 9.62, appropriately enough.
9.63 now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he needs to get down a little bit. People will come to the line in a moment or two. There goes Philippe Albuquerque, improves 148, 156, but that's still 4/10 away from People's time. People's just gone across the line. That was a cool down lap from People, over 2 minutes. I mean, do you know what? If I got round here in anything in 2 minutes or 1, I'd be delighted. And that was a People cool down lap in these GTP cars. My goodness, absolutely outstanding. Beautiful conditions now. That track temperature just starting to ease up a little bit. Still nicely in the air. So they're not getting too hot in the air, but full sunshine now, Jeremy, for pretty much the first time today. And that darker track surface will absorb the heat of the sun. Down to turn 5 for the number 59.
Yeah.
That is Jimmy Bruni.
In terms of ultimate lap times, I think this full sun now isn't helpful, unfortunately, but still, it's still impressive to watch these cars.
Just imagine next year we've got a full-time Proton. This 59 car will be back, possibly a sister car. Hertz Team Jota to come next year. Lamborghini to come next year.
There was an improvement there for Colin Brown, 48.241, but now Conor Di Filippi up to 3rd position in number 25 BMW, 48.219. So it's still Derani who's got 4/10 of a second over Philip Albuquerque. And then in 3rd position now is Colin Di Filippi, then Colin Brown, and then the best of the Porsches, the 2 factory cars, 2 Penske Porsche cars, 6 and 7 in 5th and 6th.
Yeah, just remember the two BMWs are a couple of laps behind on their tyre prep because they came in straight off the top and changed onto a new set of tyres. Now, Sebastian Bourdais begins to pick up the pace, goes through, and he improves to a 51.9, but that's not good enough. Improvement from Mike Rockenfeller and Jimmy Bruni and the 2 privateer Porsches, but 1st and 2nd still Pipo Derani in the red fronted Whelen Cadillac and the Konica Minolta Acura. That's the black and blue car. Number 31 and number 10, 1st and 2nd at the moment. BMW number 24.
Yeah, I think it just ran a bit wide, didn't it?
Yeah.
Turn 8.
It's the Philip Eng BMW M Hybrid V8. So just going into the left-hander before the carousel. Now down to Canada corner. Amazing to see how the track has evolved since we first saw cars on the circuit on Thursday. A really distinctive racing line of rubber visible now on the track in the high energy corners, so high energy zones rather, so in the braking zones and through the corners, the loaded side of the car. So if it's a right-hander, then the left-handed side of the car. But very noticeable that is starting to show a line on the circuit.
Sebastian Bourdais improved up to 5th position last time in that number 01 Cadillac. He's heading down now into turn 5. He's got, I think it was one of BMWs, wasn't it? No, it was number 60 car ahead of him on the race.
Oh, slides the front end into turn 6. He's obviously been given the go signal. They'll be watching his tyre temperatures and pressures, as will he. And once you're given the go signal, you've got 1, maybe 2 really quick laps here. And even on this long circuit, we've only got 4 minutes left. So BMW's at the moment the only people who have changed tyres. Now, are we going to see a quick tyre change from Konica Minolta? I'm not sure there's enough time to get these tyres up to pressure and temperature. 4 minutes to go. Shea Adam, are we getting new Michelins for the cars in the pitch? Because we've got the 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac in as well.
Those are the air guns for the 31 Whelen Engineering Cadillac. No movement for Konica Minolta. So Philippe Albuquerque's session is done.
And is that new tyres for Pipo?
Brand new tyres for Pipo.
Wow, he's going to have to go out and do a cracking outlap, and then he'll maybe get 2 flyers. But that's not the sort of prep we've seen pay dividends. They'll adjust the tyre pressures on the new tyres that go on based on what they've learned. But he's got to be rolling shortly. 3:22 to go. A slowish lap is somewhere near 2 minutes, somewhere over 2 minutes.
I think the only guy who's got to worry about really here is Sebastian Bourdais, who's just jumped up into second fastest at a 48.036, so 0.3 of a second still behind Pipo Derani. I think Pipo's going out there now. He'll scrub in a set for the race, and he'll sort of kind of monitor this lap, I think, for Bourdais, because Bourdais, I think, is his closest threat. In both of the 2 sessions yesterday, it was Cadillac 1-2. The first one, the number 01 car was ahead of the number 31. The second session, it's the other way around, and this time, once again, as we were in FP1, it's the number 31 car. That's the car that did the testing here a couple of weeks ago for all the Cadillac teams, because Bourdais and that 01 Cadillac Racing engine, the car run by the Ganassi team, was not here at the test, but they have done a lot of sim work and get a lot of the information from the Whelen Engineering Cadillac number 31 team as well.
Heading down to Shea Adams, Sebastian Bourdais has been through the pit lane twice on consecutive laps after the start of his session. Did they put new tyres on at each time of asking there? So this is effectively his 3rd set of tyres he's working on.
Correct. He scuffed in 2 sets and then is ragging the ones that he's on now. But we've seen the exact same thing with both BMWs here and at CTMP. Both did 3 sets of tyres.
Matty Campbell, second fastest.
Out of nowhere.
Only 0.068 behind Pipo Derani. What a great lap from Matt Campbell. Wow, that's far and away the quickest Porsche lap we've seen so far.
And he's still on it, Jeremy. He's in the carousel now.
And Bourdais isn't. That was a slow lap for Bourdais.
Really good exit from the carousel from Campbell. Let's hear it as he goes through the kink.
Wow.
Flat, absolutely nailed down flat. Down towards the Canada corner, right-hander. 3, 2, 1, down through the gearbox. Having to work the front end there and feel for the grip. He's got the Pipo Derani car ahead of him now. Pipo, if he's going to go for another lap, he's got to speed up now, and he has sped up, and I think Pipo's staying out, and this will be the last lap for both of them as they come to the line. now Durrani must have headed to the pit lane because he hasn't come past us. There goes Matt Campbell, a 47.874, so barely a tenth away. Durrani will not improve from his 47.7. So if Matt Campbell's going to take pole position, he's got to do it now. Coming down towards turn 3.
Yeah, Campbell just went purple in sector 3. But I think he's lost a tenth or two in sector 1 on this next lap. Bourdais, though, was personal best in sector 1. He must be coming up to the end of sector 2 very, very soon. So I'm looking for that lap time on the scoring monitor.
So down towards
67.2. That's not particularly quick for Bourdais.
Down towards turn 6, or up towards turn 6 now for Matt Campbell. And in behind him, Nick Tandy is a respectful distance there. Keep an eye on these two. Porsche Penske Motorsports, JDC Miller's bright yellow. Number 5 is in. Mike Rockefeller therefore sees the checkered flag effectively in the pit lane, as will Colin Brown, who's pitted, as will Sebastian Bourdais. No better than third for Bourdais then. Matt Campbell on the front row for Porsche Penske Motorsport. Can he swap sides on the grid and convert second to first? BMW goes through for Eng. No improvement for Eng. 8th position will be the best for the 24 BMW. The 25 is already in the pits. Conor De Filippi is in 5th position. Split times for Matt Campbell. He has lifted off. Yep. He's lifted off and allowed Nick Tandy to go through. So is Nick doing any kind of improvement, Jeremy, that he could improve from position 7?
Yeah, he's a tenth or two down in the first sector, but he's got personal best in sector 2 as Nick Tandy, so potential for improvement. He's currently 8 tenths behind that pole-winning time. I don't think that's not under threat, but can he improve his time?
He can, but only to the opposite side of row number 4. Goes into 7th fast. Yeah, he went ahead of Eng.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. 148.332. And
I thought he was.
No, you might be right. Actually, maybe he was 7th already in the 6th car.
Yeah, but the top 6 cars covered by half a second. Down to Colin Brown in that number 60 car in 6th place. So Cadillac, Porsche, Cadillac Acura, BMW Acura, the front 3 rows of the grid, separated, as I say, by just less than half a second. But what a great lap that was from Pipo Derani, the Brazilian, his 7th pole position.
Yeah, very interesting. The only car that didn't come into the pit lane during that session was Nick Tandy. So he has only used a single set of tyres there. In terms of Sebastian Bourdais, 3 times through the pit lane.
Well done.
And actually that'll be one of them will be coming in at the end of the session, so twice through. Albuquerque only used 1 set as well, as did Colin Brown, as did who else? Matt Campbell, no. Yeah, Matt Campbell as well. Yeah. And Mike Rockefeller probably as well. So Tandy still to come back in. Pipo Derani on a Pipo Derani day can do very Pipo Derani things, and he just did it there. But what about Porsche Penske Motorsports and Matt Campbell? The young Porsche driver, just 0.068 away, and by far and away, Jeremy, the fastest Porsche lap of the weekend. Shea Adam is down at the far end of the pit lane, which is where the interviews are done. We'll get to people as soon as our national TV colleagues have finished. We'll get him on the world feed for you.
Yeah, 49.0 was the previous best for a Porsche. That was yesterday in the second session by Nick Tandy at a 49.0. So 47.798 for Matt Campbell there. That's a really, really fine effort.
And I know where they lost the pole position, Jeremy, with that number 7 car. The tow hook wasn't folded down properly. It's still in the up position from the onboard, and that's where the 0.068 of a second was. I can see the bit of tape that was meant to keep it down, but it sprung up, rather like a foresight on a World War I fighter in front of that Porsche.
He was purple in the final sector, a tenth and a half quicker than Pipo Derani. The first sector belonged to Philip Albuquerque at 11.325. He was the fastest there. The middle sector was Pipo Derani, 66.4, which is fractionally quicker than Matty Campbell, but by 0.03. But Matty Campbell, he blitzed that final sector, 29.7. The best anybody else did was several of them on 29.9. So that's a tenth and a half just in that final sector. The last was coming at the Canada corner, then up the hill from there. So really interesting. That was a great lap from Matty Campbell.
And Shea has the pole sitter, Pipo Derani, 0.068. Phew, closer than I think you thought it would have been.
Yeah, did you think pole was going to be 0.068 of a gap?
Was it only that? Yeah, well, I knew it was tight from practice. So yeah, I knew everything had to be nailed for qualifying to be able to start out front. Obviously, I hope the gap was a little bit bigger than that, but you know, a pole is a pole, no matter how big. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Whelen Engineering Cadillac team has done a fantastic job. It's been a very good weekend so far. Like I said before, it doesn't mean anything because it's a long race. Obviously, you can control the race a bit better, but we know in IMSA anything can happen with the yellows and so on. So yeah, it's a good way to start the weekend. A few points that perhaps could help later into the championship. So yeah, really happy, really glad, and thanks Ian for giving me a fantastic car today.
Yeah, those 35 points make a difference, especially when the battle is as tight as it is. Your 8th pole position, the last pole you went on to win that race. How important is it to start out front?
I mean, I don't know how it is important, I guess, but yeah, we try not to think that way. We still have to execute the race perfectly despite starting out front. You know, sometimes if you're not out front, you can do a different strategy or risk, which could put you in a good position at the end. And sometimes you are way too conservative when you start out front. So we're trying to obviously go session by session, and I think we've been doing that quite well. We've just finished qualifying in a good position, but still a 2-hour, 40-minute race to go tomorrow that we need to execute perfectly. But yeah, of course, we always want to start out front, and it helps a little bit to control parts of the race, not all of it. We know sometimes things slips out of our hands, and sometimes we can control from the beginning to the end. That's IMSA, and that's why we love coming back.
Well, you've got a Porsche alongside you. The other Cadillac is behind you. What are you expecting out of the balance of the car as far as the race goes?
Yeah, like we've seen in qualifying, everyone is very close. So it's going to come down to details. As usual in IMSA, a fuel race could happen here. Tire as well, you know, degradation has been higher this year than it was in the past, and so there's a lot that can happen. Obviously, with the cars being so close to each other, puts an extra importance on execution, and I think that's what we need to focus on for tomorrow.
Good luck, Pipo, and congrats on pole.
Thank you.
Well, that is then the completion of our qualifying session with Cadillac and Pipo Derani wrapping up pole position for our main race tomorrow, which is in the morning. Don't forget, you can get all the times via the schedule at the bottom of radiolemans.com. They automatically translate to your browser time. George Kurtz, CrowdStrike Racing on pole for LMP2. Nico Pino for Sean Creech Racing for LMP3. And in the GT categories, it was Alex Riberos for Heart of Racing Team for GTD Pro. And an excellent pole position, his 10th for Madison Snow and Paul Murray Racing on the outside of the second row, in amongst the GTD Pros. That was qualifying thanks to Shea in the pits and to Jeremy Shaw, who was alongside me in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. And we'll be back for more action tomorrow when these cars are on the track. Don't go too far away, though. We've got race action next. It's Idemitsu Mazda MX-5.